Hello? Hello everyone who may or may not be watching. Just gonna have to check something. Okay. Okay, this is gonna be my attempt at a yapping stream. Not really sure what's gonna happen here, other than trying a mirror dungeon for this week. I am really excited for Canto 9 in 2 days. I'm probably gonna stream it very early in the morning. Well, like 3 hours after it releases. That's the plan for now. There are many good and bad times to try a stream. I know there's a lot of streamers who do it on day 1, there's a lot of streamers who do it on day 2. So it's not like I can avoid everyone. Well, yeah. Someone may actually join if it's gonna be right after they finish. Or just when they can't. I am really excited for this part, but this is a very questionable Canto for me, honestly. That's gonna be for a bit later. I do want to compare it to other Cantos. Personally, I don't have high hopes for it, honestly. I really hope the part 3 is gonna be amazing, with both it being extremely long, it's being extremely... It really has to be very strong for me. But for now, let's try a mirror dungeon. There are quite a few achievements I don't have. And thankfully there are new thinking ideas I don't have done. I'm not gonna gamble for that. I have no such need. I could try getting Faust. Just from the boxes, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough. And I don't think I honestly would want Faust that much. Especially when Dawn is just a better version of her. In most cases. This is still so silly to me. The lose SP mechanic is completely irrelevant. And Shin actually does make her gain a lot more count. Makes her more than enough. I think. And more or less. I don't really like that this becomes a clashable counter. It even stops gaining post count actually. Wait. This makes her gain poise potency. And this. She makes her gain poise potency and poise count. She doesn't inflict that much sinking, I think, compared to Faust, but I don't think it's really an issue. Well, she does consume a lot of sinking count. Anyway, I'm probably gonna get done, but I don't really care for Index Faust. I'm really excited for the new middle Ishmael, Kira Ishmael though. I was hoping that she was gonna get the Kira ID. I didn't really expect it now, but I'm very glad for that. Four, five, six. Okay, maybe I should get Faust. Well, Dawn is gonna be the good spot here too. Ah. Just a few levels. It's fine. It doesn't really matter that much. Not child actually. Okay. The only achievement I'm really lacking is 15,000 damage in one hit. And I don't think it's really hard to do. But damn, I really did not care much at the start. Wow, that is... We're gonna go for the fusion gift, but damn, that was a good thing. Good choice. Okay, for free. So as we did say, I am really excited for the part 3 of Canto 9. It has to be really strong, and I think it's gonna be really strong. But I have some severe doubts and fears here. Now, the biggest issue for me is that I have seen a lot of theories for what can happen. That simple stuff, I'd say, like Araya being the huge star that we see. Another being that Yoshi was an abusive mother from her memories, and that she was abusing Araya. Just completely misremembered it. I really despise those theories. I absolutely hate that they seem plausible. They just... I really do not like them. I can't say specifically why, because it's more vibe based, I'd say. But damn, I really do not want that to be the case. I feel like it would require an extreme amount of good explanations for why that is the case, and I'm just not actually sure that they can deliver on that in a satisfying way. Even though it does feel kinda silly that I'm doubting PM for myself. Not that I'm a fanatic, I do love criticizing them even more. But I really do not like how it's looking to be, and I'm scared I'm just not gonna like it at all. Doesn't help that most of the content did not really feel that enjoyable as I would like it to. Most importantly, I think the battles I did not like at all, most of them. Sora was a cool battle, but that's mostly thanks to Vespa. I do think personally that if Onus was removed, then Sora would be a completely valid opponent, but that also would probably make us not really need Vespa. DQ Star at the end, the nearest father of Pinky. was a pretty cool fight, I think, but it lasted for barely the shield. It was 1600 shield damage, and that's the whole fight. We probably will fight her again, because she has a lot more mechanics there. Most of them were, I think, data mined, just hidden in the files, so we wouldn't really know about them. But I didn't like the half-assed version of it. I don't really like that we're just gonna fight her again. It's probably gonna be extremely similar. Hopefully not, hopefully it's gonna actually have a gimmick that isn't set to us in her passive in that fight. But I'm really not certain about that. I really just hope for the best, but I'm really unsure. I didn't like the Albina and Ren fight that much either. Mostly because they just don't have any good offensive things. So it's not really a scary fight at all, it's not very intense. Even though I know I was struggling, I'm not sure really why. I definitely panicked a bit when I fought her. But they really aren't that strong. Lucio at the start was a pretty cool fight. I didn't like it either though. At this point it feels personal. But I didn't really like any of the fights we had. I do like fighting Abnos and new enemies, but it just wasn't really that exciting. I didn't feel like there's anything special or cool about them. The Abno fights obviously were mostly just rehashes of the fights we already had. Even though I did like them better than the normal versions of Abnos. It's basically filler. Not even saying anything about the mannequins or the Catula. Those are extreme filler. I do really enjoy the story so far though. I did say I'm scared for the part 3, but I do think it's gonna be a good story, even if I'm not gonna like the conclusion. I'm almost certain about that. About liking the story. I hope we do see Bomb-Hatted Kim drop in on the House of Spiders. It definitely did move the community a lot. How much art this part got. And how much people are excited. And I can't say I disagree. I am really excited for part 3. Just so I can get to the end of the story at least. Oh, this was Tremor singing, okay. Just like Hanafuda Ishmael. That's pretty funny. Also, since I did make that in the title, compared to other cantos, I don't think it's really gonna come out on top for this moment. At least for now, I think both part 1 and part 2 aren't even close to being the best. They definitely aren't the worst. They are a lot worse parts. Okay, that was unfortunate. I'll actually start from the start here, comparing my opinions on the Cantos. Gonna start from part 4, Canto 4, because that's when the Cantos were actually separated in parts, and I think that is a very important distinction. The first 3 I don't really care much about them. I did like really Sinclair's Canto, but I don't think it's very good. It's all 3 of those Cantos are just suffer from being very early on, and PM not knowing what they do. Not that a lot that has changed in some aspects, but they do know a lot better now. So, Canto 4. It's pretty bad. It was a pretty bad Canto. I know a lot of people disagree on that. I did like Canto 4, but I feel like it was pretty bad. Mostly because it starts on note 47. I have never seen that animation before. But yes, Canto 4 really does just start on note 47. That is when you first fight Dong Bike in Sun Shower, Ego Suit. And that is where things actually start to matter in the story. There are very, very scary moments in the story beforehand when things actually matter. Does this work? Okay. Okay. Yeah. The entirety of Rose Banner Office, the entirety of Technology Liberation Alliance doesn't matter at all. The story only really starts with Dong Bike going for the eyeball. Basically everything beforehand is just filler. There are obviously some emotional moments, those are the most important in the early story there. The interaction between Dongrang and Yisang. These are the parts that actually matter. But there are 40 notes. 46 notes before you meet Dong Bike. And there is not even close to enough of that. But after that note, after you meet Dong Bike, you fight her first in Ego Gear. It's a pretty easy and cool fight. But then you fight her in her ego. And that is an extremely good fight. By far one of the best fights in Limbus, I'd say. Ishmael, why are you doing that? Yeah. After that you get a speedrun to the Mirror of the Phantoms, which is... the journey there is pretty unnecessary, I think. It has some early introduction, it has some information that we do need. But when we actually enter the Dungeon of the Phantoms, it is an extremely enjoyable segment. The whole backstory of Yisang and his Group of 9 literatures. Very nice. And for now we have to find the automated factory. There it is. Okay, it was easy. Yeah. Part 3 of Canto 4. Extremely enjoyable. It doesn't salvage the rest of the Canto, however. 2 parts of it were basically entirely filler. And they really didn't need to happen at all. Which is just shameful, honestly. And I'm not really sure I have much more to say on Canto 4. I do feel it's a bad Canto overall, with a great ending. But it really should have been done differently, I think. And it really could have been done differently. And way better for sure. The 2 main characters, Dong Bike and Dong Dang, there were really cool though. And poor Samjo, who is cooked. And that was such an idiotic death though. Okay. Canto 5, Ishmael. I also don't think it... Well, I also don't like Ishmael. I know I'm painted by my bias here. I don't think Marineford does matter at all. I don't think anything that happens there is of any importance. We do meet Pilot. I don't like him. I don't really care about him. I can't even say I don't like him. I just completely ambivalent about him as a character. I don't think it really can be improved on that part at least. I do actually really like that his name is Pilot, which actually fits really well with Effie and Sol. RIP Effie, though. As names that are just parts of an episode. Because Effie and Sod and the Pilot episode. It's a very silly pun, but I do like it. I don't really like Smee. How did you lose that earlier? I do like her character design. I just don't think she does much in the story. Dante does make some really nice progress there because Ishmael is being a very annoying character at this point in the story. And she isn't reasonable at all, actually. But hey, that's the character. That's her character of being a sailor, redhead, and a woman. Quite unfortunate on our freak parts. I don't really remember how Canto 5 progresses after Marineford. I do remember that after Pilot tells for the story about how he got and his teammates got captured by the Middle. From that point we go to the Limbus, not Limbus, Lobotomy Corporation facility. That was devoured by the whale. We fight Piedified enemies. We also meet the fishbowl man. I'm not really sure about his name, I don't remember it, unfortunately. I think it started on the letter R, but that's about it. I do like that part kinda. I really do enjoy the whales in the U curve, which is quite unfortunate because we don't really meet or see much of them. We meet the Porus hand, we missed the one that deals SP damage and sinking that we meet on that other ship. It's honestly one of my favorite CGs right there, with the massive whale that looks kind of like a tree with lots of strands, 1,000 strand whale or something like that. It's a really enjoyable part. I don't think it really matters in the Canto at all. It does, just because it's cool doesn't mean it makes it a better Canto. Unfortunately. I just don't think it really brings enough to the story there. Obviously we meet Ricardo, but just before those, I'm actually not sure where it is in the story. I know that we meet him after trying to leave the Low Atomic Corporation facility. I'm not really sure if it's before or after the whales we meet. Ricardo though, very good moment, very enjoyable as a character. Yeah, I don't have much to say about him. We also get saved by the Indigo Elder, which does feel like some extreme fortune. If he wasn't dead, then we'd just be screwed completely. But I think that can be attributed to how the flow works in Limbus Company and in Project Moon City. The flow of the what probably is effectively the Strand of Fate, which we also kinda encounter in Canto 9. There is that moment where in the Sora fight where after Vespa arrives, if we lose we have the special lose screen, Fate lost, I think. It is incredibly interesting to see. I don't think it's really... I do think it actually matters quite a lot in the deeper conversation, that this is about the flow of the world. It's something that both Hohenheim and Faust actually do talk about next to us. And something Virgil tries to follow very rigorously. And something that Virgil also breaks when he tries to save us in Canto 6. If I remember correctly. I do think it's a bit annoying, honestly, to have a certain fate that everything has to follow, because that's the way of the world. Similar to how Index works, more or less. I also think it's not really certain. Okay, that's way too expensive. Not for him. Similarly to how Virgil actually didn't follow the flow and saved us in Canto 6. Though saving wasn't really the good word, when we actually could deal with most of the crabs and Wild Hunt. He just saved us some time. But he did willingly break the flow. And I think Dante in Canto 9, when unlocking Malkuth, I think he also breaks the flow of the world. we
제압 효과가
didn't
굉장히 좋았어.
really didn't
기록적인 피해량인 것 같다.
really shouldn't have done what
그것도 난
Canto obviously Dante couldn't have known that.
제압 대체에게 맞는 정상적인 공격이야. 잘했어. 티페리트.
Damn, talking like this is kinda tough.
칭찬할 필요 없어.
전술 시야 전.
저건 좀
오제
복잡하네.
뒤에
솔직하게 말할게. 나한테는 좀 어려워.
But that was a big sidetrack with the flow. I'm not sure what I was talking about. Let's kill this guy though. I don't think mere dungeons are a good sidetrack for this.
당신 짝패군요. 억제 성공.
But those help get me stuff done.
적개체 무력화.
Oh, that was that was a lot of damage. Yeah, Canto 5. That's what I remember. Ricardo was a good fight. A good character, I think. We get saved by the Indigo Elder.
이제야 회사가 정상으로 돌아갔네.
Which is a bit of a questionable thing.
티페리트, 너도.
That's a lot of starlight.
모든 게 끝날 때가 오면
And then we go for the whale. The pallid whale.
고향의 노래를 부르고 있겠지.
I don't really like the Canto 5 dungeon either. Even though I know that just makes me sound like I don't really like a lot of things. Which actually is the case with Limbus Company. Huh. Charged. Okay, that's it. Oh. I'm actually curious about this. I don't remember what these do at all.
고맙소. 이런 순간을 보여줘.
Faust She. Ishmael. Very nice. Trauma Shield. That's great, honestly. The Unchosen. That's also very nice. This for the fusions, and I'm poor. These two, yep. Okay. This is nice, this is nice. These two. And I don't have the rest. I don't have any. I do have only this for free cost thinking. And I don't have the other bones. But that's fine. Oh, I forgot who we're gonna fight actually in this. Somehow I completely forgot about this Walpurgis Nut. I do not remember how this fight went at all. I think that's fine. It's not gonna be that bad. Did she have Unbreakable some? Or she did have them. I just don't remember when. Okay, okay. Echoes. Canto 9, Canto 5 dungeon. I did not really enjoy the insides of a whale. I do like Quake as a character. I do love Ahab as a villain. But I still don't think that's a very enjoyable dungeon. I don't really remember it that much. But I don't think it was very interesting. So I'm unsure if it's just me not liking Kishmael talking here mostly. Also possible. Very nice sinking count. But I do remember how funny it was that Ahab just got picked up by Herman.
시야 전개. 오제트의 눈은
I don't remember at all how this fight worked. I think we just have to kill this guy. Yeah, okay, we have to kill this sword and not kill the others. Should be fine. Shikazujat, Vanguard. Okay. Very nice, very nice. Only blades, only one. We can go for this again. That's fine. That's the twist on part slot one. Okay.
이 허점을 파괴.
Oh, this is immortal.
아군의 강우 취약점을 놓치지 않지.
That wasn't clashing. Oops. Okay, that should be big numbers, possibly big damage. Two, three, four, five. Incredible. Queenie, please. I definitely messed up somehow with those flashes. Oh, good job, Heathcliff, actually.
제압 효과가 굉장히 좋았어. 기록적인
Oh yeah,
프로그래밍
I completely forgot about this. That's one stab.
다들 평소보다 의욕적이야. 이런 분위기는 흔치 않아서.
What's the resistance actually?
쓸데없이 흥분한 걸 수도
Okay, purely flat,
있는 건 아니기도 하고.
just like her. Okay, that's fine. Doesn't have AoE, that's fine. That dash so should be fine. Mini is back to being more or less useless. She sure is chanting though.
포위망 구축. 억제 성공. 진짜. 격발.
That was an insane amount of damage
맞는 정상적인
for all these, which is also kinda reasonable.
당연한 대단한 걸 한 것 가지고 굳이 칭찬할 필요 없어.
I do have to wonder about sword resistances right now because I did not remember their sin resistances. They might all be just like Knight of Despair, just all flat 1. I do not remember. And there it goes. She's crying so much. Yes, yes.
아까 어떤 직원이 제압 개체에
That's
한
to
번도
break
빈
completely
잠깐,
sword resistances.
왜 부서팀장을 안
They
달아줬지?
do have some. Nothing special though. Okay, next turn we just deluge.
억제 성공. 진짜.
봐, 어렵지 않지? 이미 관찰 기록에 있는 유형대로만 공격하면 되잖아.
She rolls so high, it's insane. Code Rodia is by far one of the most ridiculous IDs in the game. Which is even funnier that she wasn't the main attraction of her own Walpurgisnacht. Or, well, she wasn't supposed to be. And here comes Wild Hunt. Canto 6 was something, alright. I'm not even sure what to say about that. It was a very enjoyable Canto. I do think part 1 was really just nothing special. Part 2 was extreme though. I don't remember if... No, we probably got Hogma in part 3. Yeah, for sure.
걱정할 필요가 없는 건 좋네. 잘했어.
But yeah. Part 1, nothing special. Part 2, Vergilius in the basement and Wild Hunt and wow.
이번 제압은 끝이야.
Death start of Heathcliff distorting. Incredible. Our first view into what it looks like. It was actually incredible. Extremely enjoyable. Part 2. Part 3 was good. But I didn't actually like the Heathcliff distortion, how it resolved. I think it actually went pretty badly. I did like the design, I did like the fight, obviously I love the OST in that fight. But it was resolved pretty meh. It actually wasn't anything special. It's just obviously a shame. It just kinda got brushed over. We did get the Wild Hunt fight and later Hogma. Great, yeah. Yeah, Hogma. In Canto 6, our first sapling of light. Okay, yeah, that was extremely hype. Extremely enjoyable. That part 3 was very good, especially with the final part and delete.
정확
Extremely memorable. Very nice. It's not my favorite fight in the game. I don't think it is for many people, but it is extremely cinematic and extremely good looking.
예측한 대로
But and overall, Canto 6, yeah, it's pretty good. I know there are people who just get mad that Kafi was, for example, just not a non-character, which is completely reasonable to say, but I don't think it's enough to really make me dislike it as a Canto. And that's pretty good. Canto 7, however, oh my goodness, I do love that part of the game. It is so far probably my favorite Canto, even though I don't really like how Dawn was revealed to be Bloodwind in the Murder at Warp Express interval. I still scarcely can believe that it actually happened. Wow, that was so unbelievable. And it's not even surprising that it was unbelievable. It still is. I do think it's a good reveal in its entirety. I do think it could have been done better, which actually seems to be a theme of Dawn, with her newest ID being as a very obvious spoiler, and probably should have been done better. I do like it as a plot twist. I do think it makes some sense, even though it had to be retroactively applied to Canto 3, where she actually could have taken off her feet in one of the... She could have taken off her shoes in one of the events, which is extremely amusing. I'm not sure how that event actually looks like, other than her getting the minus 999 on a roll to succeed. It obviously wasn't planned to be how it currently is from the beginning. It's something I'm pretty sure Jihon actually did tell us, that the Canto was rewritten, even just some time before actual release. So the plot twist was kinda rushed, I think. But as a Canto, I did really love it. I don't really think it has that many bad parts in itself. I think it starts off pretty strong. If I remember correctly, it was... We just get the P-Corp. There we meet the P-Corp woman, which is quite a character. It has quite a suit. That's a crazy suit that they give to P-Corp employees. But yeah, after that we go to the Fixer Gathering. We fight Fang Hand office. It's also a pretty casual fight, I'd say. Something that probably happens quite a lot in the city, where you don't actually fight to kill each other. And I'm pretty sure it's our first time actually not trying to kill our enemy, more or less. I don't actually think it's the first time, but That is one of the first few times. Then we have the actual gathering. We meet Camille, we then meet Asok Zichun, the cute little current monarch of Hongyan. That was a very interesting choice to do there. I did really like it. We meet the Hana woman, which is also an interesting view of the high-level fixers. I do think what she said there was kind of silly, even though I don't think it's really incorrect. We get sent to La Manchaland. We see Fire Fist die off in the first few seconds. The first Blood Fiend, that is Blood Bike, not even a Blood Fiend that is released, which becomes an extremely strong burn ID for Gregor for some reason. Can't say I do mind that though. It's a very fun ID. Yeah, we go through, we enter La Manchaland, we fight some Bloodfields, we explore the first part that we are supposed to explore as a team set up with that NPC. I think his name was Hugo. Completely deserved a horrible death, unfortunately. And then we travel through some of Barber's lair. She gets to tell us some lore. Dawn gets to be racist against her own race, species, or whatever Bloodfiends could be classified as. And then we fight Barber, which is an amazing soundtrack at the start too. I think it's the part 1 of Canto of 7 is extremely strong there. Part 2, I don't remember that well, but it's pretty much going to the priest. We meet Xichun there. Sanson. I did forget that in part 1 we also meet Sanson. At the end he comes to rescue the barber, and then he traps us in the illusions. I really love him as a character too. Hold on, I actually do have to check if... Can she do this? Can Rodia? Rodia can. Okay. I really like Sanson as a character. I think he's great. He's a Bloodfiend, he's an illusionist. He's part of those who will be sovereigns of the stars, which is a horrible name for Damian's group. But it is what it is. I love him as a character. I think he's incredibly enjoyable there. That was a lot of damage in this turn, wow. And yeah, he first comes to rescue Barber, then he comes to... kinda attempts to make Dawn kill Zichun. She does manage to resist him. Pretty not sure what actually was the plan here and if he expected that. I do like how he shows up though. Yeah, so keeps... Yeah, in part 2 we also get to see fight of Dawn versus the Knight of the White Moon, I think it was. But we get to see that fight, which is a reference to how future it is revealed that it was Don Quixote who fought Barry. I really do love that part also. Of that technically spoiling us what actually happens, but through shattered memory switches. Oh my god, it's just Canto 9 again. Can I fuse something here? No, I can't for sure. Not this though. I'm pretty sure this has to work on Otis. Something cheap and easy. Yeah, sure. Come on. Come on. Oh well. Okay. That's pretty much what I wanted. Don't remember though. Okay, this orb. This thorny path. Thank you. Impending wave. Reflux. Base power plus 1 for Rhodia. I hope this actually won't give her SP from this. That's such a huge amount of text. Anyway, Canto 7, part 2, more or less. We get Priest, we get Zichun, we get Sanson again. Then we go to Dulcinea. Through the parade, we see Funk Hunters get absolutely slapped over. Shamefully died in shame. And then we fight Dulcinea, more or less. We get a very cool song from the parade. After we more or less defeat Dulcinea. And goes Sanson again. Then we get the big reveal of Don / Sancho to the Sinners. Then we fight, then we get to unlock the actual Don Quixote. And that's the end of part 2. I don't think the road to Dulcinea was very exciting. It had some very cool parts, like at least for me, obviously. It had some very cool parts like Sanson in the priest's thing, meeting with Zichun, Wei, and the not shown rest of Zichun's party trying to stop the Blood Fiends. And other than those few very strong points, I don't think it was that good of a part. But the ending, that was very good. That was very good and very enjoyable. That's so much wasted damage. Anyway, part 3 is... well, it's glorious. Shame we don't actually get to use Sancho there.
흔치 않아서
But damn, is it enjoyable.
쓸데없이 흥분한 걸 수도 있지. 뭐 나쁜 건 아니기도 하고.
I hope he doesn't stagger.
검날 내게 바쳤지. 피어나라.
억제 성공. 진짜 예측한 대로.
The whole memories of Sancho. And that kick he hopped. Finally culminating in what is first a duel with Sancho. Then we get to make her a promise, where Sinclair actually does shine. Good for him, good for him. And we get to convince Sancho to actually join us back again. And then we have a fight with Don Quixote. It's a great fight, it's definitely one of my favorite fights in the game.
제압 개체에 한 번에 입힌 피해량이야.
That damn windmill,
진짜? 왜 부서팀장을 안 달아줬지?
him finally stepping on the ground after those supposed years. Very enjoyable. And obviously, I really also love the Melee song Hero that is in the fight. Also one of my favorites, at least from Limbus Company. I'm not sure how it would actually stand up against the other Melee songs, both from Ruina and just her usual songs. I do enjoy her singing. Like most Limbus Company fans do. Okay, I got slightly lost in my mind. Not escalated. It really wasn't necessary either.
중계팀에서 클리포트 간섭 역장이라는 걸. 이제야 회사가 정상으로 돌아갔네. 이번 제압은 끝이야. 너희들도 고생 많았어. 티페리트, 너도.
It is still extremely amusing to me that we actually got a quick time event in that fight.
소식을 기다리며 고향의 노래를 부르고 있다.
And it's still one of a kind thing so far in Limbus. I don't think anyone in my team actually inflicts Rapture. But I really would like Midwinter Nightmare. And I don't actually like fighting Sweeper as weak, just reroll. Oh my, oh wow. I don't remember what gifts were in this pack specifically. Other than the bolus and the axe. Damn artistic sense and damn Midwinter Nightmare. Also packaging ribbon is also very strong. I can probably get artistic sense easier though. Yeah, was that all about Canto? I love the conclusion too, with Sancho joining us and carrying on with the dream. That's a shameful reward. Yeah, I do think that's all about Canto.
다음 포인트로 간다.
I really liked it. It's definitely, so far, it's my top one Canto. And with Canto 9, I'm not sure if it's gonna change. So far at least. Not gonna bother with checking further out. Is that all I need? Just Midwinter Nightmare for this fusion? Yep. Okay. That was Canto 10. Canto 8. Honglu. Very strong start. Very strong part 2. And I'd say a strong part 3.
뭐야?
It definitely stands out against other Cantos with the fact that
썼잖아. 당장 우리한테
it doesn't really have that great of a part 3, I'd say. It's good. I really like the ending of part 3. But I don't think it stands that strong by itself.
당신 짝패군요.
Leheng and... Well, Leheng is a very good fight. But we also have, what, 6 fights that just slow us down at the start? We fight the Thumb twice. Which is a very good teaser towards Leheng once again.
격발.
But we also have, I think, 2 other filler enemies, which we both fight twice. Then Leheng is a incredible fight. I still lament over that being nerfed. Man, it really,
전술 시야 전.
that's, it's still so lame.
이런 분위기는 흔치 않아서 설레이네.
Ah,
쓸데없이 흥분한 걸 수도 있지.
okay.
나쁜 건 아니기도 하고.
GM was a pretty cool fight, I'd say. No, it was pretty mediocre. It was a boss fight, that's for sure.
개체 무력과.
We couldn't say much more about it though. It was mostly there for, I'd say, for emotional delivery for Honglu, which did work really well. It just wasn't that enjoyable as a combat.
뭐야 이 수치는.
And
아까 어떤 직업
I think it really is outshone by its first 2 parts.
왜 부서팀장을 안 달아줬지?
God damn it, Rodia, why are you gaining so much SP? What are we doing here?
이쪽으로.
Not really sure if there isn't much more to say about Canto 8 though.
적개체 무력과.
It's probably one of the most equal parts in terms of quality of actual parts. With first and second part being extremely interesting by itself. By each of those were very interesting. Obviously part 2 was the dungeon, but I'd say part 1 was very interesting because we got quite deep into this stuff. And we fought some enemies, but I think also the introduction to a lot of factions and obviously GRQ and the Granny and well, everyone I think was interesting. I can say for sure though that I was excited when the GRQ came up with Allen and Hanafuda. That was so crazy. Ishmael stealing kills.
억제 성공. 진짜
Actually, I do
격발. 적개체 무력.
I do look back like it's extremely good, but I'm actually gonna check out part 8, part 1 of Canto 8 right after this battle to check if I'm just thinking too good about it. Part 2, I do think it's extremely good for certain because that's the dungeon. It stalls quite long, but I don't think time is wasted there. The bird event, obviously,
여기가
I feel like it had extremely good delivery with how tragic it was. As seeing Bina, that was insane. Very positive SP because of the gifts, I think. Unfortunate. And part 3 only really had the emotional conclusion for Honglu and Lei Heng, I'd say. Which is good, but nothing really special.
피워보지.
And those were all the cantos more or less. It was hard talking out the top of my head. I'm really not used to this so far. I can only hope it's gonna get better, and I hope someone will actually listen.
억제 성공. 진짜 예측한 대로.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's hard to hear me
작전 중이다.
stammer so much and try talking about nothing. Still, it can only get better from this point.
왜 안에 갇혀 죽어라. 내 전투에 너무 딸을 기대하고 있는 건 아니겠지.
For enemies. That's crazy.
피워보지.
진짜 적개체
And
무력화.
Canto 9 so far.
인사살.
I think part 1 was... It was nice. I'm glad Alyssa survived,
여기가 급속했군.
though it wasn't even in that part. We just saw her dying in a
왜 안에 갇혀 죽어라.
containment box room thing. We saw some pretty cool, what were they called? Apprentices of the House of Spiders. Once again, I don't think that was anything really special though.
겁나라. 내게
I did not enjoy the fights that much, so it definitely isn't that satisfying to me.
다시 못 살게
And I just
하는 일은 없을
don't think
것이야.
it's really that good, I think. Why did Gregor have 40 poise? Why do you have 80 poise? That's not 80, that's 59. I didn't mean to say 60 though.
우리는 삼코.
Only 3, shame. What kit do I have for poise? Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that definitely does make sense, yeah.
포위만 구축.
Part 2 of Canto 9 was pretty nice. I also don't think it was extremely good. I'm still sour about Sora being revealed in a very mediocre way. I don't think that they should have revealed that idea at all. It just could have been slightly delayed to at least be
이미 관찰 기록에 있는
released
유형대로만
with the
공격하면 되잖아.
Kirai's Mal ID. Because I think it's gonna come up with the Canto. I think, maybe, possibly.
당신 짝패를 위해서
Good job, Rodia. There he is. I honestly didn't expect him here. I was unsure if he was actually gonna be here or just not be here.
당신 짝패군요.
I really like the ending of part 2. It did have it's very hype. I really like the meeting of everyone, the assembling of every single unit to get prepared for a massive raid on House of Spiders. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get like 1 or 2 notes to show what actually happened, instead of just being Ryoshu's flashback. And Panic, he actually got the blue sound. Wow. He doesn't have Panic immunity? That's crazy. There you go, kid. Screw this guy. Screw his sack. That actually sounds pretty bad. Okay. Yeah, I'm really excited for part 3 because the ending of part 2 was very exciting.
이번 제압은 끝이야.
But I
너희들도
don't
고생
think
많았어.
it really stands alone as a
너도.
very strong part.
언젠가 우리도 모든 게 끝날 때가 오면 좋겠네. 그때가 되면
I'm probably gonna do this.
부르고 있겠지.
I changed my mind. I don't really care about the achievement either.
한때 도시의 별에 올랐던 손가락의 간.
Yeah, it sure did seem like how this did a lot of damage.
여기는 LCA 선봉팀.
It's good enough.
작전 목표 달성. 시체는 회수한 뒤 연구 부서에 인계하겠다.
I'm glad we're gonna get another Mirror Dungeon version later on in this season. I did most of the achievements, just I really kept out of Limbus for a moment, and from Mirror Dungeons, and I am not willing to do 50. That would be at least 30 more in like what? 2 months before the new Mirror Dungeon drops? Maybe. Maybe a bit more. That's whatever. Actually gonna do this, gonna check with... Oh yeah, this was at the end of part 1, that was extremely exciting too. Night Drifter was nothing special. The thumb, right, Leheng appeared here. N-Corp, oh yeah. This is so silly. Ihongyan. Sueba, Chaichi, Abaoyu, Petals. Rest we got Disruption. Homeward Bound. It was a nice part 1. Yeah, we did see Ryaku show off his collected library members. it was a very exciting part for future, especially with this type of end. Yep, with this type of ending. That's an insane shot with Binexter. And entire part 2 was here. And part 3 was filler. Lay hang. Some lore. I completely forgot about these. Oh wow. Yeah, these losers. Straight up embarrassing. And GMO. Why is it? Why do I not have anything unlocked? How could I possibly know? But yeah, it was a good Canto for sure. It was a good part 1. Nothing really amazing, but it was great. I do like that we have location unobservable. This was... yeah. Damage. More damage. Kinda damage. Shield, poise, durability. Just doesn't do much. And she doesn't do anything at all. She's really pretty though. And recording. Children. Filler. New hires, that was pretty interesting. There we go. Filler. Those were pretty necessary. So nice. Filler. Interesting cloud drops. Filler. This hateful creature. There we get more filler. Then we get this incredibly exciting fight. And it's totality only because Sora by itself isn't that interesting. But that's because Onux is a... Onus. It shouldn't exist. I get. This was pretty... Actually, this is when Vespa appears here too. Yeah, that was pretty... a good story. This is a beautiful sacrifice from Marton. This fight was... Why do I not have this unlocked? No idea. And yeah, then we get this from Valencina. And then we have the prep up for the part 3. Quite exciting. Not very hopeful, but I am excited. I am 60 so far. Okay, whatever. You can just do that. Nothing interesting. When do we have the Trichiliocosm? Great Trichiliocosm 80. That's probably gonna be fine when I do the mirror dungeon by myself. Prepared for the next week. I'm probably gonna manage to do that, hopefully. And yeah, I'm gonna do that in 2 days when the next Canto comes around. And hopefully when the Ishmael Kira actually comes around. I wonder, this is a very weird timing for actually posting her, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's it for now. Hopefully see anyone who may come here in 2 days.